This individual is cashing in his money in the bank privilege that he earned at WrestleMania. The WWE Championship match will take place right here, right now.
Oh, my.
John Cena defends against Edge.
Middle-aged.
Outlaws.
Middle-aged.
Outlaws.
Welcome to episode 58 of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. No funny quips for me today, Adam. I'm too upset at how rubbish this pay-per-view was that we're about to talk about. We started a few episodes ago in April 2005. We wanted to follow Edge as he won his Money in the Bank, through to him cashing in. We're here. We've made it through phantom pregnancies and love triangles and that Big Show versus Triple H match and Shelton's Mama. We've made it to New Year's Revolution 2006, January 2006. How do you feel?
Drained. There's not been that many good shows, like really good shows. I think you've maybe enjoyed one or two of them a bit more than I have.
I think we maybe started on a high and just went down the hill with WrestleMania 21, which was a great show to start with. And who could forget the Hulk Hogan renaissance as well, which some of us enjoyed more than others. So, yes, here we are, New Year's Revolution 2006. Never seen this pay-per-view before. Have, of course, seen the YouTube clips of what happens at the very end, and we'll leave that, although we've spoiled the big reveal, of course, right at the start there. But shall we jump into January 2006?
Let's go.
On what was going on.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Albums released January 2006. Quite timely. They've just headlined Glastonbury Festival on the Friday night. Arctic Monkeys, What People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not.
Okay.
That was their debut album, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
First Impressions of Earth by the Strokes, and Inside In, Inside Out by the Cooks. So we're in sort of sensitive young lads, indie, guitar-y music.
Yeah.
And on the opposite side, some singles released. Touch the Sky by Kanye West. When the Sun Goes Down by Arctic Monkeys, Shake That by Eminem, Riding by Chameleonaire, and obviously WWE Hall of Famer, I think, Popozao by Kevin K-Fed Federline.
Oh, well, I forgot all about that, lad.
How could you? He was genuinely on wrestling TV for a few weeks, wasn't he? It wasn't just like a one-off, was it?
I think he got for a little while they did like this thing where the Raw had a guest host, and I think he did that, and yeah, I think he was on more than one show. That's weird now, thinking back.
K-Fed. Should have Googled him, see what he's up to. Probably still releasing bangers like Papa's out. I'm sure. Some movies released about this time, Adam. Hostel.
Oh, nice.
World class. Munich, also a good one.
Oh.
Eric Bana represent. Underworld Evolution. Never seen the Underworld films, have you?
I've seen one of them. Whatever the first one was, I've seen that.
Vampires and werewolves and
all that kind of stuff.
all that sort. Nanny McPhee and Big Mama's House 2.
Oh.
Up there with Godfather 2 is one of the better sequels. Okay, in wrestling, around about this time, Brock Lesnar defeated Shinsuke Nakamura to retain the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in the Tokyo Dome.
Okay.
In Japan.
That's weird to think.
That is. Those things don't go together.
No.
Brock Lesnar, IWGP Heavyweight title. Shinsuke Nakamura, that's very odd.
Mm-hmm.
Sting debuted in TNA,
Oh, okay.
and he tagged our boy Christian to beat Jeff Jarrett and Monty Brown at TNA Final Resolution.
That'd be a great night of Sting's career, I would think. Getting to
No
tag
doubt.
with Christian. Yeah.
Although he did just share the ring with Chris Jericho this recent weekend. So, please tell me you saw footage online of the post-press conference after Forbidden Door where Jericho picked up a water bottle and sort of tapped it with his baseball bat.
No, I didn't
Hey.
see
He hit a journalist with it and kind of went, "Oh!"
Oh, no.
Good stuff.
Oh.
UK #1, January
Oh,
2006. Now, January 2006, we're just coming off Christmas #1. Traditionally in the UK, #1 would be Christmas #1 would be from the talent show or whatever it was, X Factor, Pop Idol. So that's as much as you're getting. No, it's no. It's no. Solo male.
See, the ones that's names are going into my head, I think were too early, because this had been going on a wee while by this point. I'm thinking of like Will Young and what the other one.
Gareth Gates.
Yeah. And I think those are too early to be 2006.
I think we used to laugh about this guy when we were younger.
Anything specific?
No, he had a shaven head. Does it not ring any? I'm sure he's like. There's videos of him with like bare knuckle boxers. Is he like family related to like bare knuckle boxers and like traveling families?
I was hoping you were just going to say a name there, and I feel without having a clue who you're on about. Is he related to such and such Smith?
Jimmy
and I'd be like,
Rogerson.
yes. I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm sorry.
Same first name as Vince's child.
Shane?
Shane.
Yeah.
Still not working for you? Okay, Shane Ward. That's my goal.
Oh, okay. I've heard the name.
We used to laugh about Shane.
I think you're maybe right. It feels like a long time ago.
It does, but that's because it is. It's nearly 20 years ago. US #1. US #1. I don't think you'll ever get this, but I'll give you what I've got. I don't know it. I think it's a rap group. I think it's like a southern rap group. It's 2 words and they rhyme with each other.
But I can't even muster a guess.
I was going to go and play it on my phone, but the song is called Laffy Taffy, and the artist is D4L.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with their work.
Neither am I, unfortunately. So there you go. UK #1 film. I've not mentioned it.
Right, where were we the last time?
Oh, I can tell you what was the last time. It wasn't a chick flick. It was Pride and Prejudice the last time.
That's it.
But then that was September. It's been
That's too long. Yeah, it's not.
Register's been on pay-per-view.
It's not gonna have carried over.
I can help you. It's a remake of a classic film. And if you think we had around about Christmas time, we had Harry Potter, and then we had Lord of the Rings. So there was like that space of needing like a big sort of.
And are you guiding me towards like was a big novel?
No. They've made more of them, and sort of done like the classic Alien versus Predator type thing. They've used the main character from this and done that type thing with another similar type of character.
Oh God! I feel like it's getting worse now in my head. Like whatever I maybe thought I might have known.
E.T. versus it's he's an animal, a giant animal.
King Kong.
Yes.
Yes.
What were you thinking?
Oh God! Like I was trying to think of like kids' books that became films, and
Like
I was going off on
Lion
wrong
Witch in the Wardrobe type thing or something.
that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.
The US #1 film is about as far from a kid's book as you can possibly get. It is
Right.
awesome. And I have
It's
mentioned it.
it's awesome, and you have mentioned it.
Yep.
It's about as far removed from a kid's book. Okay. Is it Hostel?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Well done. How many hostels was there? Just 3.
Was it the second one we went to the cinema to see, and it was not that good?
Oh, I can't remember.
There was I'm maybe grouping like bad sequels together because I remember we went to like the remakes of
Oh,
Halloween. We went to the
yes.
second one of them, and I think every one of us that was sitting wanted to walk out but failed to communicate that to the rest of the group.
Of course. The guy that said, "Of course, my horse," was that in the first one or the second?
That's the first one. That's
Is
the
it
first.
really?
First one I quite enjoyed. Thought the
First one's
first one
great.
was a decent film.
The sec. Ah, never mind. I was going to say, is that guy the sort of fake Jeremy Piven guy that's in Suits? Was he in the first one or the second one? Is he in the second one?
He's in the first one.
Is
He might no actually he might be in both.
Right.
Because he appears right at the end of the first one. He's trying to basically the good guy is trying to talk him into just doing it quick and killing them off quick, and he's like, no, no.
Paid my money. I'm going to take my time.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I think he maybe appears in the second one.
Okay. So, sorry to that guy that we don't know what your name is, but I mean, I wouldn't mind being described as a fake Jeremy Piven.
He was. I think he was like I watched a bit of Suits until I totally lost interest, and I think he was one of the more interesting characters.
Nice.
I think he's quite a good actor.
Nice. So, okay, so that's us. Well done. You got that right off the bat.
Well, yeah. That was my best one. Didn't really get close with the music, but never mind.
Homework for next time. Listen to D4L's debut album.
I don't think I'm gonna.
No. Okay.
Ah.
Laffy Taffy. I was trying to think what the name of that. Is there a food that sounds like that?
Taffy, yeah, hot, like some in water, saltwater taffy or something like that.
Yes. There's
Yeah.
an episode of Friends where they were talking about that. I was
That's
trying
right.
to. Anyway, okay. Last time we like to take the pay-per-view that we're watching and use something, a TV show or a popular movie or a franchise of movies to cast the pay-per-view. So our assignment this time is to try and cast New Year's Revolution. Is it Revolution or Resolution? Revolution.
I think it's Revolution. Yeah.
Using the cast of Lost. It's been many years since we've both watched Lost, and ain't nobody going back and watching that again for a second time. But I've dug deep into the useless information in the back of my mind and come up with some stuff. So,
Okay.
I'll tell you what matches I've got, and then you can tell me what matches you've got, and then we can
Okay.
go through.
That's
So
fine.
I've got Ric Flair v Edge. That was an
Yep.
opener, I think.
Yep.
I've got Triple H v Big Show.
Yep.
And then I've got the Elimination Chamber. That's all I've got.
Okay. I don't have anyone in addition. I've got Ric Flair Edge. I've got Triple H Big Show. I have 5 out of 6 for the chamber. I couldn't get one of them.
Nice. Okay. Let's just start out with Ric Flair versus Edge. Then you go first.
Okay, so Ric Flair, I've gone with the guy who is Richard, who has been on the island for 100 years, or whatever it is, and he hasn't aged. And I started thinking, is that really Ric Flair because he hasn't aged? But then I thought to myself, he has looked old from when I started watching wrestling. So I went with it. He just basically guy that just looks the same but has apparently been kicking around for 100 years.
I don't remember Richard. Oh, I do. I see him now. He's the mayor in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
What's his name again?
Like the actor name.
Yeah.
I've written it down for some of them. I've not written it down for him.
Nestor Carbonell.
Okay, yep, rings
Nice
a bell.
one. I like that. Edge?
So I went for the Sawyer character. Like he's a bit like dodgy and just a bit moody and grumpy early on, but he becomes a decent character and an interesting character as time goes. So I kind of thought that kind of relates to where we've been recently with Edge.
Yeah, nice, cool. For Ric Flair, I've went with John Locke. Batshit crazy, but quite formidable in his own way. And for Edge, I also went for Sawyer. Handsome, charismatic, a definite heel, but you've got potential leading man in there as well, and also a bit goofy at times.
Yeah,
which we get from Edge. So
did you pick Alita?
No.
Okay.
Did you?
I went with Shannon, who was the Maggie Grace character, just saying that she was a cold-hearted bitch.
Fine. I like that. I like it a lot. That works. Did she die early on? Spoilers.
Yeah, I think she was maybe only in either the first or the first 2 seasons, but yeah, maybe just the first.
And was her brother Boone?
I think so. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Were they?
There was something,
Okay.
something uncomfortable.
And he died early on as well. So
yeah.
Was it tell us? Stop trying to get Stephanie to go into angles with you, Vince. That sort of thing. Triple H versus Le Big Show.
Okay. My Triple H, I'm trying to remember this guy's full name. His name was Ben. He was like the main
Linus?
yes, sort of the main antagonist in the show. Just sort of portraying himself as a leader, but really like cutthroat and
nice.
Went with him. Yep.
Nice. And Show?
I've gone with Hurley. And I've been like, he just comes across as a bit of a buffoon in the early stages, but he's got a bit more to offer than people are giving him credit for.
Nice. Like that. For Triple H, I've went with Danielle, the French lady. I think she legitimately looks like Triple H. And also you've got the Jean-Paul Levesque character. He obviously has his French roots as well.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
For Big Show, I went with Desmond, the Scottish guy that lived on the island, and he was trying to get off, and he was off, and he was on, and he was off, and he was on. I kind of thought that was a bit like Big Show. He's a heel as a face, he's a heel as a face.
Totally get it. I may have used him later on.
Nice. Okay. Let's go through the chamber. John Cena.
I've gone Jack Shepherd. The clearly supposed to be the main guy, but he's boring. He's annoying me already. Yeah,
you've. I think it feels like you're reading my notes. That's supposed to be the main face, but massively annoying.
Yeah.
Nice. Carlito.
Carlito's the one I couldn't get, and I was really disappointed because I was really trying to think of somebody good.
Okay, I've went with Hurley for Carlito.
Okay.
Is his name Hugo?
Yeah.
A widely loved character that doesn't really go anywhere.
I like that. Yep. Okay.
Kane
went with the smoke monster. I couldn't think of anyone good for Kane.
I like it though. That works with the fire.
Yeah.
For Kane, I went with Mr. Echo. A huge, menacing but complex character.
I totally forgot about Mr. Echo. Nice.
I'm sure it said that Mr. Echo had a girlfriend called Katie Vick as well. Never. Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle, I've gone John Locke. He's just fucking mental. He's very intense. He has his own idea of what he should be doing. The guy was in a wheelchair when the plane crashed, then he could walk. Well, Kurt Angle won the gold with a broken freaking neck.
Oh, I love that. Amazing. For Angle, I've went with Kate. Stubborn, tenacious, but capable of handling himself in any situation.
Nice.
The Masterpiece, Chris Masters.
That's where I've gone for Boone. All about the look and gone after season 1.
Nice. I've went with Walt, Michael's son. Considered to have a lot of potential. It seemed like a lot of the story was going to be wrapped up in him.
Yep.
and then it just sort of disappeared.
I like that. I was
Almost like the
totally,
steroid testing just appeared, and he was gone.
I was totally convinced he was the key to it all. I remember thinking that, and I think they pointed you at that. But
Aye.
yeah,
The polar bear thing in the magazine. And
yeah,
okay, Shawn Michaels.
that's where I've gone for Desmond. Off and on, there and back.
Nice.
Doing the whole. He was the guy doing the code thing, wasn't he? He was
Yes.
entering the code. Yeah, felt like it fit Shawn Michaels to me.
Okay, I've went with Charlie. They're both former drugged up wild childs who both ended up redeeming themselves.
Nice, nice. Although you've never really bought the Shawn Michaels redemption.
No, so on the face of things, in kayfabe, he's redeemed himself. Much like Charlie did. I think he saved Penny, didn't he? With the
Yes, he
hand
did.
on the not Penny's boat thing on the window.
Yeah, I've never used Charlie. I could have fitted him in somewhere. You would have thought.
What was Charlie's band song? Was it like "You Are With the Body"? No, is that something else?
Oh, I can't remember.
I used to like the Flash. Oh, the flashbacks were great, but I liked when they went forward and the flash forwards, and it was all. Remember, you had the Oceanic Six.
Yeah,
We could have done
that's
them
right.
as like the SmackDown Six. Damn it!
Missed a trick.
Oh well.
Mm.
Thankfully, Chavo or Kerwin White was not on this pay-per-view. That's one of the most positive things I can say about it. Anywho, let's get into it, shall we?
Yep.
What's wrong?
Just like this whole Ric Flair situation. Like, this is the opening match on the card. Because I think that there's a video package like about basically the dangers and risks of the chamber.
Yes.
And then quite quickly, I hadn't watched any pre-TV or anything, but I feel like I'm just sitting there watching. I've made a few notes, and then all of a sudden I'm being talked about Ric Flair, road rage, and all this kind of. I'm like, oh, that was real, wasn't it? And then they're talking about him having personal issues and going through a divorce, and I'm thinking, last time we saw him, he was having the time of his life in a limo, and now this.
Yeah, only 3 months ago he was on top of the world.
Yep.
Just shows you life comes at you fast, like Ferris said. Something I wanted to ask you about was the set. The set was really weird. It was like dragon themed with like a dragon breathing fire and all that.
Yeah.
I thought that there was no like.
I couldn't work out where that tied in to anything.
Nah, me neither. Yeah. And we've got Joey Styles and the coach here.
Yeah.
You know, like WWE's good for taking a couple of single stars and chucking them together and trying to make a tag team. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
Honestly, at one point I wanted to put this on mute because of the coach. He was.
Yeah, it feels like it's got worse with every show, and then there wasn't because it was just the two of them, and I think when I hear Joey Styles' voice doing a show, I'm kind of used to him being on his own.
I'm quite happy.
Yeah,
I don't mean that because of coach, but he is quite good on his own.
Yeah, yeah. Coach he's incredible. There's nothing good about the style of like I fully understand having heel performers. I understand having heel announcers as well, but there's nothing there behind it. It's just irritation.
Like Heenan had that ground in wrestling. Like he'd been someone before he was that commentator.
And Jesse Ventura, he had a weight behind him. You knew who he was, and but even like much as it's listening back, it's quite grating a lot of the time. But when King isn't doing his, woohoo puppies and all that, some of his just cheering for the bad guy and trying to make sense of it, and then Paul Heyman being really good at that as well. But this is just terrible.
The dynamic when it works, it it feeds into the story and helps tell the story of what's going on. Whereas this is just coach being annoyed, like you say, obnoxious. Anyway, Edge versus Ric Flair. Ric Flair is Intercontinental Champion at this point. I think the last time we saw him win it from Carlito.
Yep.
And he was putting over the belt big style. Since then, Edge has been on him and he's had his personal issues. And this is how we kick off. What do you think of Edge versus Ric Flair?
Like, I think I remember, like, this is maybe the only or one of two matches on the card that I actually went back in my mind and thought, I remember watching this and thinking it was really weird. And I still found it a bit weird. And on its own, in isolation, on the night, I was sitting watching, thinking, why isn't Edge just destroying him? Why isn't this just an easy win for Edge? He walks away with the title and all that. But I suppose that'll become clear, and they're trying to add more heat to the character. In terms of a match, I didn't think there was an awful lot to it. I thought it was fine in terms of the sort of little story it was telling. Lita kind of getting involved, Edge trying to take some shortcuts, Flair being kind of dominated but making his comebacks and having his spots. Not great, but okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They did the Flair go off the top rope thing again, and they connected again.
Yep.
You can't do it more than once.
No.
Once it works.
Yeah, and once makes you believe it'll work again, and then you watch and you go, no, actually,
I'm
no.
lucky.
Yeah.
They had to do a sort of fluff finish because we can't have Edge win the Intercontinental title, but we also can't have Flair beat him clean.
There was one thing I found very, very unsettling in this match.
Thrusting.
What was that about?
Terrifying.
Oh,
it was like that thing when he was going to that woman outside the limo the other week. It's just not on. I don't mind seeing Flair in the ring at this point. What is this, 2006? He can still go. He can do everything that Ric Flair does. But didn't he do that? Don't do the thrusting.
No.
Please. He put a figure 4 on Lita, and Edge ends up breaking it up with a briefcase to the head, and he, in classic Flair style, he has to bleed all over the mat, despite being the very first match. And he's a bloody mess. And that's it.
They basically the announcers are sort of telling you the story at the end that Edge didn't care about the IC title. He was, purely in this match and in this situation to do damage to Flair. You're adding to the heat there.
Which is odd because his hatred for Flair comes out of nowhere.
He's
bounced around like a basketball between Kane, Matt Hardy, and now Ric Flair, and they've built them. The Kane and the Benoit as well. The Benoit one had substance to it because they had the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
The Hardy stuff had substance to it, but this was just like something for him to do that didn't really have much to it.
Yeah.
And Flair doesn't get much of a payoff after having had his public life thrown up on the Titantron and all that for weeks and weeks. Odd.
Yeah.
But
certainly not the worst thing on the card.
No. Talking of which, we go backstage with Todd Grisham.
No,
He's with Kurt Angle. Now, the basic gist of this promo from Kurt Angle is that he can say anything and the crowd will cheer him. And he's trying to get across that fact. But the way that he gets this across is by being like wildly offensive on multiple religion, race, politically. Yeah, I'm not repeating what he said.
No. There's no need for us to end the podcast. I was shocked, like just hearing it. What was said, I was like, no. Like even then, it's not. It's 2006. It's a long time ago, but you still, I don't know. You just wouldn't expect to hear, particularly one of the things that was said.
Did you ever see was it Booker and Kurt Angle must have been involved in a program? Did you ever see the thing where he said what he wanted to do to Charmel?
Yes.
It's up there with that.
If you heard him, he's talked about that on his podcast.
Right.
And he said he did not want to say any of that. He hated the storyline. He felt massively uncomfortable, but Vince was just getting more and more enthusiastic about the things that he should be saying.
That's pure Vince. The words that he says are pure Vince. animalistic or whatever it is he says. Aye. And that's similar here.
Yeah.
Just say the most vile things you can think of, sort of thing. And he's with Davari here. Appears to be his manager. They're obviously looking for him for something for him to do with Muhammad Hassan being out in his ear. I guess that didn't last long, did it?
Don't think so. Like, the weird thing is, he sort of signs off with that. Like, Angle starts talking about how, you know, he is the best in the world. He's beat Cena. He's beat Michaels. He's beat Kane. You know, he's that bit of the promo all made sense. You know, he should be going in there as a big favourite. This should be, you know, for him. But everything that went before just kind of didn't really hear what came after because of that.
Exactly. It's like a meta type thing. It's like they're standing in the back and saying, like, this is really frustrating. I'm a heel, but I go out there and it doesn't matter what I say, they cheer me.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's went, well, just say the most ridiculous things you can think of and see if they will.
Yeah.
So, okay. Next matchup is Trish Stratus versus Mickie James for the women's title. I quite like the build-up and storyline around this. I mean, it's not like my favourite storyline all the time, but I do. It's something different and interesting. For the women, rather as it being, you know, they're fighting over a man or whatever. We've got the whole thing with Mickie James, and they keep repeating in the video package, I'm like your biggest fan over and over again. She's giving off this sort of psycho stalker type character, which is great.
No, I like that as well. Obviously, Vince is always going to want to push it to a certain place, but I quite like the story as it was going.
Aye, and that is sort of they almost go to that and push it, but kind of leave it at the right time. Both these two fairly decent in the ring, and I thought it was an alright match. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I thought that the match kind of played with the story quite nicely in that you had quite a lot of respectful, you know, offensive maneuvers going on from Mickie James, but then I did fully believe as I'm watching this that she's like excited to be in there with her hero and things like that. I thought that came across well, and you know they sort of underline that after the match too. But yeah, I think I think she's always been known, Mickie James, as somebody who was a good worker, and I think Trish by this point had got pretty good as well. So yeah, I thought this was okay.
The only thing that I didn't like is it the Stratus faction is the Bulldog type thing?
Yeah.
It always looks like they're just like there's a lot of helping going on.
Yeah.
What if she went off the second rope? It would stop. It would prevent her needing to be lifted up to get to that top rope. I never understood that.
Yeah.
But you know, like looking at this 2006 and Trish is still having matches in 2023, and she's doing a lot of same stuff she's doing. Like, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And I think Mickie James only just retired.
Okay.
Recently as well. She was an Impact, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
But aye, and they continue it on later on as well, which is quite good. Okay, we go backstage. Maria Kanellis is interviewing herself. They just let her go wild. She gets interrupted by an aggressive and clearly dark side version of the Hurricane, who is now Gregory Helms. He's got a real bad attitude these days. And yeah, I've not written down what he interrupts her to say because I got too excited by what then happened next.
He's just kind of being a cocky bastard and talking about what he's, you know, how he's going to take Lawler apart and all that. And he's like, I'm sure we've both been sitting watching the Hurricane and thinking, don't do this. Just give him something proper. Just give him a thing. And I really wanted to like this when it started. But then
it's like the monkey paw curling type thing. It's like you get what you asked for, but miles worse. Like it just went completely upside down with it.
The problem was I'm watching it thinking there's been so many others that this has suited better. Like exactly what he's trying to do is suited. But think about Orton, who's come through as this cocky, brash, arrogant bastard and all that, and it suited him perfectly. And I just watched this thinking, the idea's fine, the worker in the ring's fine. It just doesn't fit. It's just not working.
It's forced.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like his accent. I think whatever he's saying comes across like quite cool with his accent. What is that? A southern accent?
I think so. Yeah.
Obviously, we've not been watching week to week, but to have went from the Hurricane with the green hair and the completely over the top to this sunglasses, big long black cloak, leather jacket type thing, just angry man, was just too much.
Yeah.
The camera veers off to the right hand side, and we see Shelton Benjamin walking in with his mum. They come walking by, and holy stereotypes, Batman. She is. Like, I get it, right? They're trying to give Shelton something, because we've talked about this before. He's brilliant in ring, but he's not really got anything. I think we talked about putting someone with him, and the monkey paw obviously curled again, because they've went and got this stand-up comedian woman to play his mum, and she is going, characters up to 11.
What have they done to Shell? He was fine. Like, he was stuck at IC level or opening match or whatever. But he was fine. He could go in the ring. He could have a match. He was brilliantly athletic. This can't go anywhere. This.
No. No. This is where. I actually thought this during this pay-per-view. Like, this hit me smack bang in the face. There's no WCW. There's no real competition. Yes, there's TNA, but I think it's too far away. TNA, and it's, like somebody like a Shelton goes somewhere else and they could be in the main event, like a WCW. Obviously not WCW as it was, but I just mean if there was a level competitor, you wouldn't have to be doing angles with this woman that's a stand-up comedian acting as his mum. Yeah. And Shane Helms.
Yeah. This wasn't. This wasn't where Viscera is. That's
no. That's still to come.
Yeah.
Then we get a bit of foreshadowing for later. Edge and Lita are due to do their interview with the instant access online thing, and Lita says he doesn't have time to speak to them because he's got bigger things on his mind. Tells her to go and take care of business. What could that be? Yeah. Surely he was referring to the Big Show and his giant. He's away to help the Big Show wrap his hand with a big beer mitt cast he was wearing. That must be what it was. Okay, in the ring, or back to the ring at least, we've got Jerry Lawler versus Gregory Helms. I don't think we got an explanation as to why these two were fighting, did we? A backstory?
I don't think so. No, I think there was something said about, like, Helms had shown Lawler no respect or something like that. But
they did this, didn't they? They would sort of use the King. They did it with Taz. They use it to get sort of not that he's a new talent, but they kind of used King to get new talent.
I suppose it's a new character, isn't it? So get him a bit of spotlight with a known commodity. Yeah.
The coach. This is where the coach starts to become too much. He's going on and on and on trying to get Helms over. It's unbearable.
You ever hear I think it is Bruce Pritchard's told the story that if somebody backstage has an advocate that is too much in Vince's ear, the guy basically gets buried because he's just sick of hearing it. I'm watching this thinking, I don't give a damn about Gregory Helms now because you will not shut up.
You've ruined him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've said it time and time again. We said it last time about Hurricane. He can put on good matches. Shane Helms is a good wrestler, definitely. But this is not it. It's not even entertaining. Sometimes we've seen King matches and they've been entertaining because it's like engages the fans, and it can be a bit fun. But this wasn't even fun. It was just rubbish. King wins via flying punch for the second rope. Absolute garbage.
And it made me think, what
was the point?
Yeah, but if you've given him this new character and he's just been beat by an announcer who, I think a lot of fans know and respect the legacy of him in ring, but lots of them just know him as a commentator.
The puppies guy, yeah.
Yeah. And he's just beat this new character. So again, where can he go? That feels like that's over now immediately.
They were also referring to Helms as a young upstart or something like that, and I was thinking, I went back to it. He would only been about 30 here.
Okay, but he's been around a wee
young,
while.
Aye, absolutely. Was this 2006? He was like a cruiserweight champion in WCW in like 98.
Yeah.
Okay. We seem to be backstage a lot. We're back in the instant access area. We have Trish and Lita kind of do a little bit of foreshadowing as far as looking at each other, sort of thing. Mickey comes bouncing in and she starts talking about how fantastic the match was. Wasn't it so cool? Trish is like, "You do realise you got beat, didn't you?" And she's like, but it wasn't. And this is where Vince is obviously.
Oh yeah.
Talk about your sliding, sweaty bodies together.
Yeah.
Just no, keep it how it is. It doesn't need to go seedy.
Yeah.
And then we go to catering.
No, I don't want to go. I'm not going.
I'm going. Mama Benjamin is unhappy with the catering for her baby, but she is sort of bent over the side of the catering table. And Viscera doesn't just walk in. His music hits.
Yeah.
And he walks in, which is, maybe that just happens places that he goes, which would be quite like walking at the doctor's surgery and stuff like that. Big Vis walks in on Mama Benjamin bent over this table, and he is rather taken. And he's looking for some action from Mama Benjamin. She tells him he can get some action, but I don't think it's the type that he's after. She's quite formidable herself. She's aggressive.
Yeah. She's not putting up with it, but that's just going to land her boy in a bit of trouble.
Big Vis is just living in his own wee world. He's just laughing and smiling, licking his lips and thinking the buffets. He's unbelievable. Unbelievable, it really is.
He says something about how he would become, what was it? She's Shelton's mama, and he's going to become her daddy, or something like that.
Jesus Christ. And then tell her you're going to become his daddy. Just take a break, Vince. Okie dokie. Triple H versus The Big Show. Weird place in the card for Triple H to be, but I guess we won't complain because we'd be complaining if he was shoveling himself into the main event. So it seems that both of these guys cost each other a slot to get into the Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
And they show us a little video package where towards the end of it, Triple H has taken his sledgehammer to Big Show's big paw. So out he comes wearing the most ridiculous, oversized bandage that goes from like his elbow. It looks like, I don't know, he's got this giant lollipop on his arm or something. It looks ridiculous.
Do you know, I might sound controversial here. I'm going to sound controversial. It's maybe in the context of the show as a whole, because I was dreading this massively. I was thinking, he's got a massive cast on. This is going to go 25 minutes. It's going to be awful. I actually didn't mind it. I know that I know what it is. I just because you had the story set up, because you've got the hand, you've got the cast on it, you know that the objective is going to be to break the cast or get it off or whatever, like from the start of that, because the thing looked fucking ridiculous. It's not in any way hiding what the intention's going to be here. And I was thinking, right, okay, just get on with it and do it. But there were bits in this that I really didn't mind, and I think it's because there was some logic playing in for me, and maybe that's all I was looking for on the show because I wasn't finding it in that many places.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. There's definitely logic involved. There's a bit of story involved with it. The thing that started to, because I was relatively enjoying it as well, as far as enjoying goes. Certainly in the show, it was decent, but at some point, it started to come across my mind that this is Triple H telling people backstage that he's going to get a good match out of the Big Show, and that's what he's trying to do.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was just, and then my cynical head was, oh fuck, I just want this to finish now.
There's still like these moments where I'm watching thinking they're still making Big Show just look kind of dumb, and I know that was always a thing. You know, Shane used to mock him for it and all that after they'd been aligned. But like his hand after the cast has been basically broken off and ripped off, he's like doing some offensive moves with that hand and looking like he is choosing to use that hand. And I'm a bit like, now come on, you've got another one.
Class. He's like a bit. To be fair, it does look bruised.
Mm-hmm. It does, yeah. They've done an okay job on that, and obviously, Triple H is going after the hand at every possible opportunity. But then you get like these comebacks by Big Show. Like there's a point where Triple H has brought in the sledgehammer, and Big Show snaps the handle of it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, with the bad hand.
Does he?
Yeah.
Continuity is all we ask for.
And he goes for I think the one they play off most is he goes for a choke slam with a bad hand. Now maybe I can understand that one type of move it is. Maybe you don't want to be going with your bad hand with that one, but yeah.
Imagine this is January. Imagine Big Show debuted in December.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like this wrecking machine, and the only way to stop him was Triple H took him out of the sled, wrecked his hand with a sledgehammer. And this is his first pay-per-view match. I'm all on board with that.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
they fucked about with his character for the last 5 or 6 years.
I mean, they've so often made him a joke. They basically put him. They put him in a sumo match at WrestleMania.
I forgot about that. Oh God, we've seen his ass. You're right. He's been Hulk Hogan. He's been Nasty Bastard. He's been in. What was the match with Strowman with Mankind? The Boiler Room Brawl.
Oh yeah.
It was all right. As far as the show's concerned, it was up there.
I think that's what pulled me in, was just like with some of the other stuff. I definitely, with a couple of things that are coming up pretty quick after this, within a matter of time, I was looking back fondly at this match.
It just felt a little bit like it felt like a 2000 pay-per-view match or something.
Yeah, I get that.
No, that that's a bad thing necessarily, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, like you said, he what's he do? He snaps the sledgehammer in half. I think Triple H gives his hand a concerto, does he?
Yeah.
With the steps.
Yeah, that's right.
Eventually we get a ref bump, and there's this. Oh, Big Show picks him up for the choke slam, and Triple H has done the old thing where he picks up the sledgehammer, cracks him, and hits a pedigree.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Triple H wins. Okay, we have got the Masterpiece and Carlito backstage, and Carlito, always the thinking, the man, the thinking behind the scenes. He proposes an alliance between the two, and we look forward to seeing if that pays off.
Yeah,
it's quite a good idea, and I do like the execution. So.
Yeah, and they're talking about, it made sense to me, rather than them just being the two heels in the match. They're talking about them as underdogs because they're the only non-former world champions in the match, and they made it make sense. to me.
Absolutely. Somebody else must have been a different booking committee must have been booking that part versus the rest of the show. Okay, next in the ring we've got Shelton Benjamin with his mama versus Big Vis. Are we calling him Big Vis at this point? Is it still Viscera?
I've got Viscera in my notes,
Okay.
but like, so they played this off as like impromptu match, where the Shelton's mama is demanding an apology, and if she doesn't get one, Shelton's gonna kick his ass, basically. Shelton does not look too pleased with what Mama has set him up for there.
That's the thing, like, this character's so wildly over the top that there's almost no room for Shelton Benjamin here. And
Yeah.
surely the point of this is to get him over.
You would have hoped so, but I think the point of it was just to make Vince laugh.
You're absolutely spot on. I'm sure it worked. Viscera appears to be fighting in silk pajamas.
He's got to stay ready.
Ready for action. He's just destroying Shelton.
Yeah.
This is not the Viscera or Shelton Benjamin that we become accustomed to seeing.
No, Shelton hides behind his mama at a point.
I'm shaking my head. There's like a nice point where Shelton absolutely cracks Big Vis in the jaw with a knee.
Yeah.
But this goes, I don't have it in front of me to see how long it went, but it just goes far too long.
It's almost 8 minutes.
Well, it's 7 minutes and 30 seconds too long.
Yeah.
And the ending, the finish is nonsensical, despite two large athletes smashing each other for 8 minutes long. Viscera gets taken out by Mama's handbag. And all that's required after that is for Shelton just to give him a kick, and that's it.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Job done.
Why
Easy.
did he not T-bone suplex him?
I'll forgive him for that one.
Okay, backstage?
Yep.
Okay, we're backstage with Shawn Michaels. And for the first time in the show, we see Vince.
Yep.
He comes in to wish him luck for the chamber match. I've got here that it looks like we're... Do these two go at Mania 22?
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're building that.
Mm-hmm.
Sowing seeds. I've got here that thank God for Vince is actually the first entertaining performer I've seen on this show. Because he is pretty good here.
They tell a little story which I don't think was covered in the build, where Michaels he's going to be number one in the
Yes.
chamber, and I think later on it's referenced that Kane is coming in last, so that had obviously all been pre-decided. I've never really understood how the rest of it is decided. Like, I know it's supposed to be random in terms of what chamber opens, but how they decide who's going to start the match. So in this case with Michaels, but at least we know who's first and who's last.
Question about this. Obviously, we've got like this authority figure in Vince stacking the deck against Michaels. A lot of the story for this year has been the authority figure in Bischoff trying to stack the deck against Cena. That seems to have went away.
Okay.
Do you know where Bischoff is at this point?
No, I don't.
Okay. Because Cena does go in. Cena is first, and you know him and Michaels are first in the chamber. So you've got him running the gauntlet right from the start. So it does feel like the deck is stacked.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But I just wondered if Bischoff was still running Raw. Or...
I'm not sure. I know. I've got memories of him like being fired and them making a big story about him getting fired and all that, but I can't think when that would have been.
Probably somewhere in between here if he's not on the show.
Yeah.
He obviously went nowhere with the Cena stuff. Okay. Should we talk about next match, or will we just go straight to it? Let's talk about it. It's good to, like, we're not going to erase history. That would make us hypocrites. You need to acknowledge what's went before, to acknowledge the good state that women's wrestling is in now. So we've got a brand panties gauntlet match.
Yeah. I didn't take a whole lot of notes.
Oh, really? Why is that? Were your hands busy?
I did watch. Yeah.
I liked. Okay, so we got Maria Kanellis starting out against Candice Michelle. Was Candice Michelle in WWE for a while? Was she a good wrestler, or was she more like a valet type?
Yeah, I don't know that she ever fully made the. I would sort of categorize her with like Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler.
Right.
I think.
Okay, I liked her. Maria, I mean the way to beat somebody is to strip them brand panties. We've definitely the best, not a brand panties. What was it was a tuxedo match, wasn't it? Cornette and Heyman.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
What was that like? Great American Bash '89 or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's the best. That's the bar that these women are trying to hit.
Mm-hmm. It's tough.
Anyway, Maria gets Candice down, and then comes Tori Wilson. Maria beats her too.
I did take a wee note.
Oh,
I've got Maria eliminates Candice. Does Maria get to put her top back on? No, she doesn't. That's where, before the next opponent came down. That's obviously what I was trying to work out in my mind. So it was answered quite quickly.
We're saying the deck is stacked against Maria Kanellis.
Yeah.
Outrageous. Anyway, Maria, but she managed to defeat the odds and beat Tori Wilson as well. She's on a hiding nothing next because Victoria comes out and she will be able to do whatever she wants with her. And she does. And then it's just like Royal Rumble time. We get a special guest entrance. And it's the fabulous Moolah and Mae Young. Hooray! And this is 6 years removed from the Royal Rumble 2000, where Mae Young tries to strip off. Here we are again. She starts taking everything off. It's not even like she just comes in to compete in the match, but she just comes in and starts trying to take everything off.
Mm-hmm.
And proceeds to take everything off.
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
Again, your answer to amuse
Yep.
Vince McMahon, probably.
Yep.
I didn't really understand this, but anyhow, May sort of just eliminated herself. And then Ashley Massaro was the last entrant, and remember how bad she was in the ring the last time? Maybe that's why we're doing a brand panties match and a wrestling match, but she wins.
Probably. Yeah, so she finishes the stripping of Victoria to win the match, and then just decides to take her own clothes off to celebrate.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like winning a last man standing match, then knocking yourself out. You have to feel ashamed for that, Victoria. Like, she's clearly a really talented wrestler.
Yeah, she's
just putting stuff like this.
Yeah, she's just there in the wrong era, I think. Although saying that, we've had Trish Stratus and Mickie James who can work in the ring. Yeah.
Get her guest reffing in that match or something like that. Better off.
Yeah.
Anyway, the crowd have managed to come down between. Well, what was the first match? Shelton versus. They've come down between Shelton. Do we have a tag team match on this again? How odd.
No, I don't
Very
think
rare to get a tag match on some of these pay-per-views at this point.
Yeah.
We're gearing up for Elimination Chamber, and I think we've probably got over an hour to go left of the pay-per-view still, but then you've got 6 entrances and then some shenanigans afterwards, so I suppose that makes sense.
I noticed there was and I didn't know if this is a reaction to the way that the crowd have been. There's no promo or interview segment with Cena on the show, which seems unusual. But maybe if the reactions started to turn a bit, that was maybe a deliberate decision.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's a really good point. What they did here with Cena is just, they might not have done a promo, but they've had him. They're just ridiculous. It's just like looking back in hindsight now, they did it with The Rock we got Die Rocky Die.
Mhm.
They did it with who else must have done it? Who else did they do it with? Sort of in between there, 97 to say like 2002 sort of thing. Don't really think they did it because they had bona fide.
Yeah, it was stacked with superstars. I mean, I know, the likes of Orton got a big push, but it started as a heel, a cocky heel, rather than starting as a babyface.
And then like Orton won that title in 2004, SummerSlam 2004. They took it off him pretty quick, and he went down the middle back to the middle of the card. He was involved with Undertaker and that. Whereas with Cena, it's been like, right, he's a champion now and he beats everybody.
Yeah.
And same with like Brock was like that, and Roman Reigns was like that, and it's just tiring.
Yeah.
It's not entertaining or enjoyable. And realistically, that's why we watch it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. This, I suppose they often get it right in the end, or it feels like they get it right in the end, or do they just get lucky in the end? I don't know. Like with The Rock, obviously joining the Nation and being able to put those chants right back at the fans, and
absolutely.
And the Roman Reigns, moment with the heel turn and the alliance with Heyman, and then becoming just ridiculous as a sort of standard of performer. It must be a lot easier to, when you know everything you're doing is working, to get the confidence to just become that damn good. But when you're a force-fed babyface, I wonder where Cena's confidence came from. It's maybe just in him. It's maybe just something he has naturally.
I feel like people like Jericho and Punk and even The Rock at WrestleMania 18, when like Rock and SummerSlam 2002, they played a little bit off the crowd. They started doing heel type things. You do an eye rake or whatever. You use the ropes to break a hold or whatever.
Yeah.
Cena doesn't seem like he's got that. Cena's like being operated by someone backstage sort of thing.
Yeah. That's fair. Because you don't even have to. I think when you know what you're doing, it doesn't have to be over the top. You don't have to make it unrecoverable. Just in that moment, on that night, just lean into it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And we saw that Bret Hart SummerSlam '92. He's a big face, but he was doing little things, even just a look at the crowd. I suppose that's what separates those that are really good at it and those that are maybe still learning or whatever. Okay, let's go into this match. Elimination Chamber match can only be fourth or fifth Elimination Chamber that we've had, I think. I wonder if it's still the original. Do you remember they used to talk about the original Elimination Chamber being brutal? The wrestlers used to talk about hating being involved in it. It still looks that way. I don't know how to describe how it looks, but it looks that sort of brutal way. It looks different.
It does. Yeah, I've no doubt they found ways to soften it without changing the look too much. Whether that's happened here or not, it's kind of hard to know.
The bumps to the outside look hard.
Yeah.
So who we all got? We've got Masters, Kane, Carlito, and
Masters, Kane,
Angle.
Carlito, and Angle are in the pods.
In the pods, and we've got Michaels and Cena starting out. Immediately, we've got boos for Cena. Cena sucks chance.
They're pretty brutal.
Yeah. And Cena's doing what we've seen Cena do since before he won the title at WrestleMania. He's just taking a beating.
Yeah.
Taking a beating from Michaels.
I put in my notes quite quickly, quite early on, when this was all starting to... So I knew what was due to happen later. And when I started hearing the Cena boos, which are really audible from the start of this match, I started to wonder, was what they did earlier with Edge just an attempt to get within that crowd as much heat on him as possible for what was going to come later? Because were they worried they might cheat it? the crowd might celebrate it.
Yeah.
It was only at this moment when I heard the boos that I started thinking of that.
I wonder. I wanted to look and see, but I didn't manage to get the time. But I wanted to find out the sort of where did the idea behind cashing in come from in this pay-per-view at this point. I'm sure I've read Edge before say he only found out at the pay-per-view,
Okay.
but that's not to say that it wasn't planned.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to be planned based on what they did with Cena in this match.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to be. Anyway, we get Carlito first in, and the crowd are right behind him because he goes straight for Cena.
Yeah.
He's getting huge cheers.
Yep.
He takes out Cena, and then HBK is lying the other side of the rope on the steel, and Carlito just does a senton over the ropes out on the steel. Brutal.
I think that the announcers basically no sell it, don't they? What's happening in terms of reaction to Cena? I don't think they really acknowledge it at all. So you've had like
sometimes get like a mixed crowd here tonight.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, just an acknowledgement that whatever city you're in, this crowd can be a little bit different from your normal. They're just sort of plant that seed, but I don't think there was anything like that here.
Nah. And you're not going to get that sort of nuance from Coach.
Yeah, true.
Unfair on Joey. I like Joey Styles, but
yeah, me too.
Yeah. So Cena and Michaels start to work together on taking out poor Carlito. Double flat jack on Carlito until our Olympic hero is in, and he goes suplex crazy.
Yeah. There is something more acceptable about him going suplex crazy than Lesnar going suplex crazy.
Do you think?
I don't know why. To me, there just is. Like, I think I'm trying to think here. Where are we? So we're just at the start of 06. So I think it's like summer. It's maybe into like autumn where he will be on TNA, Kurt Angle.
Right. Quite relatively soon.
Yeah, there was a story he was telling on his podcast about how he basically he always wanted to try and go when he had injuries, and I think he put that down to put a lot of his like pain medication addiction down to that, the fact he wouldn't want to miss a show and all that. And he started to get really annoyed with Vince, who was always like putting more and more demands on him. You know, okay, I know you're beat up or torn up to get in the Elimination Chamber, you know, that kind of thing. And there was after a match he was scheduled to have a pay-per-view on the Sunday. It must be later in the year, and he's scheduled to be on Raw on the Monday. And he went into Vince's like little office he'd set up at whatever building they're at, and he pulled down his pants, and he said basically his whole body was a bruise.
Jeez.
And Vince was like, "Oh, take it you're not going out there tonight, pal," or something like that. It's like, no. And that was, I think, the first conversation that ended up with him being done. That was
really
where they were going from there. I think because of the pain med addiction, Vince wanted him to go to rehab, and he's saying, "Well, I can't keep going at this pace without the pills. You know, it's one or the other," and he refused the rehab, and they tore up his deal apparently. So
crazy.
Yeah, but I can picture it with what he puts himself through and all that in a match. How he just must have been so beaten up and worn out and all that.
I'm sure that story must be so consistent across so many people.
Yeah,
I think like you see what Triple H went through as far as finishing the match and all that, and it must just be a badge of honor.
Yeah,
Cody did that with that torn pec and all that. It's very old school.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think they always say like there's no off season, so there's no ability to rest up. I suppose they must hit a breaking point. A lot of them where they're like, I just need to go home now. That's it.
That was a CM Punk thing, wasn't it? That's what he talked about in that podcast with Colt Cabana. He's just like, I've been working and working and working. I've heard RVD talk about that as well. Like I'll be taking my time off. And Vince sort of trying to pressure him into going on a tour for the troops.
Yeah,
They said it was on a
that's right.
volunteer basis, and he was like, "All right, well, I'm not going then." And
Yeah.
Vince was like, "Come on, pal." This is where he was talking about pick a hand. He was going to tell Vince to pick a hand. Quality.
Uh,
So Angle's in, and he's throwing everybody about the place.
Yeah.
Which is class. It's just what we want to see. It's what everybody wants to see. This brings the crowd, I think,
Yeah,
back into it.
loved the wrestling machine angle. It's just, yeah, brilliant.
He grabs Michaels, and we suddenly get sort of pulled back into that double header that they had earlier in
Yeah.
the year. It's good to see them looking back together again. He slingshots Michael into the cage wall, and Michael's a bloody mess. Where do we go from there? He gets the ankle lock on Carlito.
Yeah.
And I think what was supposed to happen was he gets the ankle lock on Carlito as the masterpiece is about to come in.
Uh-huh.
But the
It
commentary
took
team
ages.
completely fumble that as well. They're like, but it's not even flashing, or I think we're still waiting on the countdown, and they're like, don't worry, the masterpiece will save them. They've got an alliance together, and it's like,
like I've heard again another podcast. I think it was Bruce Pritchard, and he was talking about how he always hated the announcers knowing what was supposed to happen. He wants them to react in the moment because you end up calling things that haven't happened. So if your rule for the show is whatever happens is what was supposed to happen, but the announcer actually knows what was supposed to happen, and he still calls it even if it didn't. And I get like this. This was an example. Like they're bigging it up, and it's not happened yet. You're sitting watching, thinking, well,
you've kind of
yeah,
it takes you out of it actually.
Yeah.
But Angle's got the ankle lock on Carlito. Masters comes in, and they've obviously touched on the alliance, and I think he breaks it up.
Yeah.
We go straight into an ankle lock on Masters though.
Yeah. And then I've got that must get broken as well. Cena tries to FU Angle, but he counters that into an ankle lock. And I think right when he's applied that ankle lock, he catches the sweet chin music from HBK. Okay, I'm just going to fill in a little bit here. I think we've lost Ross for now. And, in fact, he's had a power cut. Oh, classic. Okay. He's going to try and reconnect as quick as he can, so I will just keep talking for now. So we're still in the Elimination Chamber. We have just lost Kurt Angle, best wrestler in the world, has been eliminated after Shawn Michaels' sweet chin music super kick. So yeah, as mentioned, Angle is going to be in TNA by the time the year's out. Masters and Carlito teaming up on Cena as the clock's counting down. We have Kane. No, that's too soon. No, wait. Yeah. Kane has entered the match and he is destroying everyone. But Masters and Carlito team up to slow him down. There are huge cheers as Kane hits a chokeslam on Cena, and we get Carlito and Masters then with a double team DDT on Kane. Masters tries to get the master lock on Kane, but he can't. Just too big, just too strong. So following the double team DDT, Masters press slams Carlito onto Kane, like that kind of thing. A nice tag team, old school style tag team maneuver. And that is Kane eliminated. So we've lost our second participant. We are now down to 4. So we've got Michaels, Cena, Masters, and Carlito. So the story that they're looking to tell here is whether Michaels and Cena will cooperate. They will team up. They've had their issues between the two of them in the past, but the logic dictates the other two are a team. So to survive this, you basically have to team up against them. So Michaels is kind of first up. He is trying the fight back on Masters and Carlito. And the hints of an alliance between Cena and Michaels are definitely there. Is it going to be enough? Is it going to go all the way? I guess we'll see. It lasts a mere matter of seconds before Michaels super kicks Cena. After that, though, immediately after that, we have a corkscrew. I think it was referred to as a corkscrew by Carlito, who eliminates Michaels. We are down to just 3, but obviously when it comes to stacking the deck, we have the guys that have formed the alliance up against the defending champion Cena. So it's obviously going to be a 2-on-1 situation for the foreseeable in the match. You get a Superman, superhero style comeback by Cena up against the two of them, and what he's doing is just trying to survive. It seems like the crowd are booing the shit out of it. They, I think, obviously don't want Cena walking out here with a belt. I'd like to think they've taken to the Carlito and Masters combination. So we get Masters saving Carlito from an FU attempt. We then have Masters DDTing Cena on the metal rail. Cena has busted wide open. Masters and Carlito are going after him big time. There is a suplex off the top on Cena by Carlito and Masters. We then have Carlito. He's a trustworthy guy. He's, formed an alliance. He's going to keep doing his thing. But rather than just trying to put Cena away now, he seems to be really, really encouraging Masters to put the master lock on. He seems to be there for the taking, but no, Carlito's adamant. Let's put the master lock on. Right there and then, the twist. Carlito with the low blow on Masters, who's lining up for them to put the master lock on Cena. Low blow, rolls him up, and that is Masters eliminated. We are down to just Cena and Carlito. Carlito quite pleased with himself. He's got exactly what he wanted out of this situation. However, Cena's right there, rolls up Carlito. John Cena with the pin win, roll up to retain. The crowd again goes, I think it'd be generous to say, goes mild. They don't want any part of this. They are angry. And yeah, they manage to vent their frustrations all over Cena. It's not really a celebration situation. He is obviously walking out with the belt, and that is, retained champion against all odds. However, However, I'm just going to go into the finale here because I'm not sure Ross with his power cut's going to be able to join. So I'll just try and round things off. We get Vince McMahon's music. He comes out. He says the night is not over. Nobody go anywhere. He calls for the cage to be raised. Cena is in there as an absolute bloody mess. And oh, hi Ross.
Hi there.
Uh, yeah, so we finished the cage match. I'm just going through where we get with the impromptu title match.
Okay.
Yeah, Vince is saying there's one more match happening here tonight. Edge is cashing in his money in the bank. Now, as the little audio that was played at the start of the show, you already knew this was going to happen. So here we are. Edge, when Cena is at his most vulnerable, is going to cash in his title opportunity. We get from there. I'd actually wondered how they were going to play this because Cena's stumbling to his feet. The ref comes down and it seems like he's checking that it's okay for Cena to go ahead with this match, which seems really weird in hindsight because, he's clearly not. It's not going to be a fair fight. But, I don't know. I've seen this kind of thing happen before, but for some reason it caught my eye. Like, what's the point of that? Obviously, he's cashing in regardless, and I don't think there's any. The defending champ has any real say in that.
Yeah. This is the first time they've done it, I suppose, so it's not quite as polished as it is.
I suppose.
These
Yeah.
days.
Cena stumbles to his feet. The ref gives the okay to ring the bell. Edge really, really quickly goes for several cover attempts, and Cena gets out of those. And then there was just this moment in my mind where I thought, oh, no, they don't. No, they don't, because he kicks out of a spear. Yeah. And I was thinking, they're not. They're definitely not going to have Cena come out of this match still with a belt. Even if they'd planned that in the start, surely the crowd reaction would have told them, no, don't do that. Can you remember when Edge cashes in, if it's a good crowd reaction for the fact that he's there, and it's obviously he's a heel,
When you get the hold on, stay in your seats and all that sort of stuff, and Edge's music is so loud that you can't really get a handle on whether or not he's getting, if they're going wild for him or not.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think when I've got it in my notes here, but when Cena kicks out the spear, it's like the fans have had it. Like I know, and I can hear, you could hear Bruce Pritchard saying like you're baiting the fans because you know that they want that, so you're not giving it to them. You don't give them what they want straight away. But he's just went through at least 3 former champions plus 2 guys that were. I don't know what you said about them, but I thought they were working really well together in the chamber.
Yeah,
and I liked that whole story.
They were actually even doing like tag team combination type moves to finish guys off, and I knew in that story that the twist was coming because it was really obvious. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen, and I kind of popped a wee bit for Carlito doing it and probably wanted him to walk out with the title. Yeah, wouldn't have worked the other way around. But yeah. I had been thinking because the crowd were not up for him retaining, even when he's in there at the end of the chamber against 2 heels who have been double teaming people, but they're still they're not there for it. They just don't want to see him as champion. So yeah, there is when they kick out of the first spear, the crowd are not happy with that. They're done, regardless of whether they like Edge or not. They're done. They're ready for this change. And then there's a second spear. And I was actually surprised that was the pin. I thought, this is going to go on for ages. You have to hit like 10 of them or something like that. But yeah.
Do you think they took that and learned from it and they just said, look, if somebody's cashing in, they're winning, then they hit their finish and that's it?
Maybe. Because you're not hurting the person that's cashed in on. They've just been through a match. Almost always. They've just been through a match. And they are vulnerable, and that is why the cash-in's happening then. Yeah.
So he hits that final spear, and that's it.
Yeah, new champion, Edge. And I didn't actually realise till you mentioned it earlier that it's quite a short-lived reign he's got here.
Yeah. So this must pay-per-view will be, I think it's the 8th of January. Royal Rumble's 20-something, and he loses to Cena at the Rumble. Which makes you question why.
What was the point of all this?
For what did we go through all this for? Yeah. And why take it off Cena for that short time? Did they
Maybe
just not plan when to take them out? And we've got WrestleMania coming up. We need to get the briefcase back up there for WrestleMania.
Yeah, I had thought by this era they were maybe had moved a little bit past the really sort of scattergun title change for the sake of title change, but maybe not. Maybe they're still. And I kind of get them maybe wanting to have crowned Edge as a champion, so that he's maybe then fully at that level,
Elevate him. Yep.
and you can go back to him being in title picture, which obviously they do, sort of time and time again in the coming years.
So him and Punk both won it twice, is that right? Did he win it from Mr. Kennedy, Edge? Did he take Mr. Kennedy's win?
Yeah, so Mr. Kennedy won it, and then he was misdiagnosed with a more serious injury than it actually was, so they switched it.
Brutal, eh?
Yeah, and he never got back anywhere near the title picture.
Shame for that guy. He was certainly a good personality.
He had a lot of charisma. He's been on the Angle podcast, and they worked together in TNA for a bit.
Mr. Anderson.
Angle really liked him. Yeah,
Right.
Mr. Anderson there. Angle really liked him. He said, decent worker, very safe, and that goes against some of the things that he was accused of being, which I think they used him to fire.
That was
Used
Randy,
to fire
wasn't
him.
it? It was supposedly Randy.
I think did he break his collarbone or something on a landing from a move, or had he already had an injury and he still executed a move where he landed on it or something like that. But yeah, I just always think of the Mike intro thing, which I found pretty entertaining.
These are the things that set people a bit different from the rest of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got two questions for you. Hit you with the first one. Money in the Bank this weekend. What's the best Money in the Bank cash in?
Like I like the Rollins one during the Mania match between Lesnar and Roman Reigns. It was a bit different. It hadn't ended. They were both, been through a lot of punishment, and I think the crowd were pretty sour on Roman Reigns at that point. I thought that one worked really well.
Yeah,
what
I
about
think
you?
it's probably my favourite as well. Is that 31 maybe?
I think so. Yeah.
It's cool, and Rollins was a heel there.
Mhm.
But it's iconic. It's a people talk about WrestleMania moments. That's a
Yeah.
WrestleMania moment. Him
Yeah.
swinging the belt round and round his head at the top
Yeah.
of the thing.
Mhm.
Probably this one is quite iconic as well.
Yeah.
It being the first.
Mhm.
I can't think of many others, to be honest.
I always think of the like the Money in the Bank with the Punk Cena match where Cena's leaving and he wins the title, and then McMahon tries to send out Alberto Del Rio, who'd won the Money in the Bank that night, but he gets a head kick and all that, so he never actually gets to cash in. Probably remember that more than a lot of the actual cash-ins.
Was that on that pay-per-view, and is it after the Cena match when Punk wins the title from him?
Yeah, so basically to try and keep the belt, because in kayfabe he's moving on. McMahon panics and tries to get him to cash in, but he never even hands over the briefcase. I don't think. I think he gets the head kick before that.
Nice, and then he do a kiss and goes out through the crowd.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that.
Okay, another question is: what's your highlight of the Edge Money in the Bank win to cashing in? Doesn't have to be Edge related, but just across the piece.
I liked what happened at the end here. I thought that was a good way of doing it. I enjoyed little bits and pieces of seeing the character evolve. I don't think it's anywhere near there yet. I think he actually becomes like. Do you remember he's in a tag team with Randy Orton for a while. They're called, is it Rated RKO? They call
Yep.
themselves. I really liked that run that he had. But he's already been to the top by the point he goes there. But
do
yeah,
you know,
there's
I wouldn't have been watching any. All I've seen is their little thing with DX where they're, when they come out dressed as them. It's got like the big fake nose on and all that. That's quite funny.
yeah, they worked well as like a pairing, and you always knew there was that bit of tension there as well between them. But yeah, I mean, the pay-per-views haven't been great, if we're being honest.
Disappointing. I
Yeah,
thought they were going to be like really good,
uh,
like good wrestling.
I enjoyed the stuff with Angle and Michaels. Thought those
Yes.
were highlights. Probably they're the main ones I'm thinking of.
Yeah, me too. Not Hogan, Michaels, SummerSlam.
Nah, didn't really do it for me.
I think you're probably right. I think Michaels Angle, certainly at WrestleMania 21, probably one of the better WrestleMania matches we've ever seen. I was going to say I like the Mysterio, Eddie, Dominic SummerSlam stuff.
Yeah,
I know you
story.
didn't love it.
Yeah, I just thought it was a wee bit over the top, but yeah. But it's wrestling, so
that was good fun.
that's allowed.
I don't really think there's nothing else jumping out at me.
Yeah.
Really, not a lot of good tag team wrestling. No real
Hardly
great,
any.
like sticking out Intercontinental Champion or anything like that.
Nah. Yeah.
Carlito, Shelton, Jericho. I quite enjoyed Christian, Jericho, Cena.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah, thought it was a good way of protecting Cena.
And they did their best to get Big Dave over with Triple H, but by this point, I think he's injured and he's fallen right out of things.
Yeah, that's just what I still really enjoyed the story from that, but the matches weren't great.
Nah. So there we go. We have completed our journey. Let's erase the fact that we said we were going to go to WrestleMania 22. Edge has cashed in. He's won his title. Our job is done.
Yeah.
We don't know where we're going to go next, do we?
No, we'll make some decisions about that. I think it's so like I think there's at least twice we've been really roped into these, like we tried to do a year and it really wasn't a good year once we were in it, and then this journey, which maybe the quality of wrestling hasn't been as good as we would have hoped.
Expected.
So we'll have a think about what would be next.
Yeah, let's not commit ourselves and then not be able to deliver. But it is quite heartbreaking when you're really looking forward to something. And I'm more thinking about 1998 than I was this. But 1998, and then the pay-per-views, some of them were just, it was WCW really, but a lot of the undercard of WWF was tough as well.
Yeah.
So let's get some good wrestling to watch if we can, or at least some interesting stuff. Okay, we're going to take a wee break anyway, aren't we? Because we've got some holidays and stuff. So we'll be back mid-July, ready and raring to go with a new journey, or we might go back to Oracle. Who knows?
The Oracle wasn't always good.
No, certainly not. Let's watch. Oh, actually, let's very quickly touch on Forbidden Door. Very, very quickly. Have you watched Omega versus Osprey?
No.
Okay.
I know you sent me a link.
I know.
And I will.
It was short notice. Let's maybe chat about that the next time you had a chance to watch it, because it was.
Okay.
It's worth. I think it's worth talking about.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. Okay. Well, enjoy some of your summer, and we shall speak again mid-July. And I'm sorry for having a power cut and leaving you to waffle.
Yeah, I don't know how that's all going to come out, but I'll be fine. We got there.
Oh, good. Okay. I won't see you next Tuesday, but don't be a see you next Tuesday. Regardless, that's getting scrapped. Okay. Bye-bye. Oh, no.